Facebook. Okay. Oops. All right. Let me see if we are, looks like we are, oh, it's preparing to stream. Okay. All right. Ann King. Okay, I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes. It's trying to stream into Facebook and says it's preparing. Open up the chat. Hi, Lizette. Hello to Puerto Rico.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Ann. Good to see you.
I didn't know whether I was going to be able to do it. I printed out all these directions and all these numbers, but I did it. So
you did it.
Good to see you.
All right, so I'm going to stop the live stream and try to start it again because it was just preparing. It wasn't going into the live stream. So let me try that again. I'm glad some of you could come on. It's so much easier to interact in Zoom than it is to read the delayed comments in Facebook Live, honestly. Okay, here we go.
I just saw your email about an hour ago, so I was glad I could catch it.
Right. Okay. Let me just look and see and make sure that it's streaming into Facebook Live. Okay, there we go. Yay, we're here. All right. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Okay, it looks like, yep, it did go into the live from Zoom. If you're wanting to join me over on Zoom, you can do that from my Facebook, from our Facebook group, Modern Intuitive Woman. There is information to do that. It's you can come in and join the chat, ask questions, and if not, you can watch straight from the Facebook group. And I'll be keeping an eye on anybody else who jumps in. So today's topic is using hypnosis and intuition to find lost objects and people. This is a topic that has been inquired about for my whole career, and yet it's not something that people really know about or talk about. And typically when someone comes to me asking if they can use hypnosis to find something they've lost, I take them through a process that I tell them to do at home first. So I'm going to be talking to you about that. I'm going to tell you how to do this at home. And a big part of it is using your intuition. And I made some notes today because there was a lot of things on my mind about using this and application. And one of the first things I wanted to say is the kind of things that I have helped people with when they've come to me asking about hypnosis to recover something. One person was for a password for his laptop, and the technique I'm going to teach you tonight that you can do at home, he used this and was able to remember the password, and it just popped into his mind one day when he was walking on campus in college. Jewelry is a really popular one. A lot of people unfortunately hide their jewelry and then forget where they've hid it. This same technique I'm going to share with you tonight, I actually helped my mother-in-law use. Last year she moved, or and then she kind of lost her really special ring that was from her husband who had passed away, had a lot of sentimental value to her. And she, you know, it's one of those things where you look, you can't find it. She was able to find her jewelry without coming to see me for hypnosis. And then other people have actually come into the office, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how that works using hypnosis. But let me see what else I had here that people have used it for. Oh, guns. I had a woman who had hidden her husband's service revolver, and he had been out on leave for an injury, so she was hiding the gun while he was at home from the kids. And that's kind of an interesting story. I'll tell you about that one in a bit. Finding people. I actually used it to find my daughter, lost at age 9 in a huge amusement park in Tampa. Scared the life out of me, and I was able to use hypnosis, self-hypnosis, and intuition to guide me to find her. And then probably the most interesting or most pertinent for people is if you've ever hidden money. And I had a woman who came to me most recently, it was my most recent case, and she had actually hidden $10,000 cash. And she used hypnosis and her intuition to find the $10,000. I think her testimonial is actually on my Charleston Hypnosis Center website in the calendar. You can go in and find where she's actually written about finding her $10,000. So that was a really great story. So so how does this work? How do people find things that they've lost? Well, first I want to say is that as I was trained in hypnotherapy school from my professor, is that we record everything. Everything that we do is like going into this massive data bank in our mind, in the subconscious mind, from the moment we're born, and even in utero. So my first instructor in clinical hypnosis at Orange Coast College was fascinated by this. Hypnosis is infinitely applicable, but he would hypnotize people back to their birth experiences to recall things that had happened, and then get that correlated with mom, dad, somebody who was in the hospital or in the room with the person. And that's really fascinating to me. So it always stuck in the back of my mind. We remember everything. It's all recorded. So if someone loses something, typically, if it is the last place that you put it, you can find it. The challenge is, like with the woman who hid her husband's service revolver, she ended up remembering later that she had placed it under a stack of blankets in a hamper, and then those blankets got donated to Goodwill or something. So the gun did disappear, but hold on, I'm gonna mute whoever just came on. And but it was somewhat of a peace of mind to her to know what happened to it. So so we do record everything. That's the first thing I want you to know. And when you've lost something, the worst thing you can do is tell yourself, oh my gosh, I've lost it. I don't know where it is. and start to get upset with it, because you're basically programming yourself. That's a form of self-hypnosis. If you lost something and you start saying, I don't know where it is, I don't know where it is, I don't know where it is, you're actually reinforcing the not knowing where it is. So don't ever say that. When you lose something, you don't want to say that. And the number one adverse factor to recall is stress. The number one adverse factor to recall is stress. And that's interesting. Sometimes when people get older, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. And, I'm forgetting things. And it could be that your stress level is just a lot higher, and that your ability to recall is actually there. So, so when you've lost something, don't say, I don't know where it is. In fact, what you want to do is say the opposite. I do know where it is. I know where it is. And you say it in this matter-of-fact tone. And so when I've lost something, I will invariably lay my phone down, my keys down. I misplaced a check from my godmother for Christmas one year. It was for this really, really amazing amount of money, and I knew I could call her and ask her to get another check, but she's legally blind, so for her to write me another check was really going to be cumbersome to her. And for the life of me, I could not find that check. I usually would stick it right in my wallet, and I didn't. So I just calmed myself down, and I just kept saying, whenever I thought about the missing check, I would say, I know where it is. 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 And sometimes out loud, sometimes to myself. And then what happened for me with that is I rolled over one morning, woke up first thing, and a lot of times that's when I get my intuitive downloads. And in my mind, I knew exactly where it was. I opened the book that was on my nightstand, flipped open the cover, and there was the check. And then I remembered being on the phone and talking to someone and not having my wallet near me and sticking it in there to keep it safe. And so that's what will happen for me is I will just prime. It's called priming your mind, when you're telling yourself, I know where it is, I know where it is. And then typically I will see an image of where it is. And so that's one method, is just to start priming your mind with that. And or you can say to yourself, when you go to sleep, when I wake in the morning, I will know where it is. I will know where this thing is. Okay, so so I wanted to just give you that for myself. Another instance where I used it was, this was when I was living in California. We went out for a family dinner to a nice Mexican restaurant. And my same lovely mother-in-law was sitting at dinner, and all of a sudden she let out this horrible scream, and she looked down, and she had one of those, I forget what the rings are called. It's like, when it's 3 rings, it's like your diamond plus the 2 other, and women usually get it when they're older and you're celebrating like so many years of being married. And she looks down and she screams, and the middle diamond was missing. And so all of a sudden, everyone is looking around on the table. We had, restaurant workers down on the floor underneath looking for it, using the sweeper looking for it. And meanwhile, there's just this fluster going on, and I'm just sitting here, with my intuition saying, okay, is this diamond here? Is this diamond here? And I was just like, no, I don't feel like the diamond is here. And I said, are you sure you didn't lose it, before coming out? She said, no, I don't think so. So we were driving home from the restaurant. I was in the back seat with my daughter, who was a toddler at that time. And it was dark. I was kind of in a just semi-relaxed, hypnotic state. And I just kept telling myself, when I walk in the house, I'll know where it is. I will know where it is. And we walk inside the kitchen. We're standing there. People are, moving about the house. And I just slowly started moving around the kitchen. And I had this flash of remembering when she was carrying in groceries for the house that day, and she had them threaded between her fingers. And I look down and I see gleaming in the half light of the kitchen the diamond sitting on the edge of the heat register on the floor, like literally one little pink, and it would have gone down into the grate. And I reach down and I grab it and I go, Millie, is this your diamond? And she goes, no, that's not it. And then she goes, oh my God, that's it. So it really does work. And the main thing is you just have to be really matter of fact about it. I was just very matter of fact about it. And then I saw the image in my mind and there it was. So, but that's a really fun story. And then I'll tell you my last one. Then I'll tell you about some of my clients who used it in the office and with a little extra step. And I do always tell people when they call me, before they invest the money to come and do hypnosis with me in the office where there is an extra step, I tell them to do this. I say, try this, do this for 2 weeks. And then if you still haven't found it or you're desperate, you know, you can come in right away. But if you're not in a hurry, then do this and try this method where you're priming your mind to know where it is. And then if that doesn't work, come back and you can, you know, pay me for a session and we'll do a hypnosis recording. So, so I do want to tell you about losing my daughter in the amusement park. That was probably one of the most scariest experiences of my life as a mother, which is kind of poignant that I'm sharing that today, because today, guys, I am officially an empty nester. My youngest has gone off to USC Columbia. Yes, I know, right? Whole new chapter of life. So anyway, we had gone to Busch Gardens, Tampa with my 2 kids and my dad and his wife. And I would say Olivia, gosh, she had to be only about 7, 8 years old. My son was 6. They're 15 months apart, and she was so excited. She had this little map of the park, and she was just, you know, she had it up like this in front of her face, and she was reading it, like, you know, where are we going to go? And my son, they had given us the little throwaway cameras. So my son wanted help with taking pictures of the flamingo, and I thought for sure of these 2 children, hands down, my son is going to be the one running off. Olivia is just very, very easy child, never got in trouble for much of anything. So I help him snap the picture of the flamingos, and I look up, she is gone, like completely gone, and I can't find her. Minutes go by, I still can't find her. I'm looking at this like service gate right here, and right away my mind goes to the worst case scenario. I mean, like the surge of adrenaline in my body was like, oh my God, somebody just abducted her. They took her out through the gate. Like, how did this happen? And so then I just started having to use my self-hypnosis. I started slowing my breathing down, taking slow, big, deep breaths, slowing my heart rate down, slowing my breathing down. Because when you get in that fight or flight, your mind goes into this tunnel vision. I'm sure you all know. And my mind was just racing, and I knew I had to calm down. So my father grabbed the security people. We gave a description of her. Minutes continued to go by. My dad and his wife took my son and went this direction. And I started walking in this direction, and I was saying, I know where she is. I know where she is. I know where she is. And all of a sudden I started to have this feeling in my solar plexus, like literally like there was a magnet there, and it was pulling me forward. And I was walking and running and looking and walking and running and looking. And I must have forked through that massive, acres park probably about 5 times. You know, I'd get to a fork and I would just feel, and the magnet in my solar plexus would pull me this way. And I just kept going. And I forked again. And then I would stop and ask people, have you seen this little girl? No. And I forked again. And finally, this was right when we were in the entrance of the park. I am walking at the very top other end of the park, and I see these little skinny legs that I recognize, and this little map like this shaking. And I said, Olivia, and this face goes, ah, Mom, and she would just burst into tears, like, but her map was up like this the whole time. And oh my gosh, that was just a crazy, crazy day. We ended up having a great time. But I really, really believe that because I knew this technique, I was able to just put it into place, calm myself down, and find her. So I really do believe it's a very powerful technique, as simple as it is. And so if you have any questions about that, I will be checking in our Facebook group in a second. I just want to share a couple other things about how I do an extra step with people in the office who have lost something. So when people come to the office, and this has typically been with jewelry, although I did have someone who had these very, very sentimental Christmas coasters one time that came, and she found her Christmas coasters with the hypnosis. So what I do with people in the office is they come, I explain how hypnosis works to them. They won't be knocked out or asleep. I take them into relaxation, and then, and you could do this at home for yourself, is that I will have them go back to the day that they lost the item. So if it's that day, they go back to first thing in the morning when their eyes just open. If it was, 2 days ago or a week ago or, whatever, then I regress them back to the day that they last remember seeing the item. I have them speak out loud and tell me with as much detail as possible about that day. So it's not just jumping to where they think they lost it. So I woke up in the morning, I got dressed, I made my coffee, I read the paper, and I have them just go through it lots and lots of detail up to the last place they remember seeing or putting the item. And typically, what can happen is sometimes people will remember where they put something right there in the office, but more often they remember later. So I'll have them do that 2 or 3 times in the office, where they start first thing in the morning, and then typically on the second or third recall of that day, they'll have more details and more details, priming their mind to remember the experience of that day. And then I make them a recording, just giving them suggestions like, your mind is very powerful, you record everything, you remember exactly where you put your engagement ring, you remember exactly where you put that $10,000, you know where it is, you know exactly where it is. And what's interesting about that statement for you to say to yourself is, because what if where you put that item is not where it is now, like the lady with the service revolver. I have had people where, they'll put it somewhere, and then, maybe the cleaning lady moves it or your spouse moves it. Typically, it's usually the last place they put it. They just don't remember putting it there, especially if you're multitasking, like I was in the story about the missing check. So I'll record that for the person, just that piece. I don't record them going through the story of the day, but I'll record what I call a positive programming, a relaxation, and then you know where it is, you know exactly where it is, your mind is amazing, you remember everything, and then I'll have the person listen to that recording for, I tell them, 2 to 3 weeks. And typically what will happen is somewhere in that, once a day, daily listening, preferably at night when you fall asleep. But if you were doing this for yourself, that's what you would do, is when you fall asleep and you're waking up in the morning, you're in a natural hypnotic state. You have much more access to your subconscious mind. Your intuition is much more accessible. I think because the ego and the logic, it has been asleep all night, so it's not as, you know, strong and imposing on you. So, so that is basically what I have people do. And like I said, the latest one was my client who was missing the $10,000. And oh my gosh, she was just like jumping for joy with that. So that is everything I was going to share about that. Now I'm just going to look and see if I can just take a look in the Facebook Live and see if anybody has any questions. Let me see here. Okay. See, Carol's on there. Kathleen, hello. Okay. And you know, it's funny, in the Facebook group, I'm so sorry, but there was someone else, some other woman in our group who was sharing that she had her own method for finding lost objects. And I was really wanting her to come on today, but I can't remember who that was. So if you're watching this, whoever that was on the replay, maybe you can post in the comments what your method was. So I don't know if anybody in the Zoom here today has any questions about what I've shared, but that's basically it today, unless anybody has any comments or questions. I just thought this was something fun. It speaks to the power of how your intuition works with your memories, with your data bank, to serve you up information. And I hope this is helpful. And if you do use this technique, I would love to hear about it. Share with me. You can DM me in Facebook, Rebecca Shaw. You can join my Modern Intuitive Woman group if you haven't already. And have fun with this. Next time you lay down your keys and you don't know where they are, notice if it comes to you. This is one other last tip that I love, is notice how that information comes to you. I know in the intuitive world, there's this big sort of, I think, false belief that you're either clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and if you're one, then you're typically not the other. So if I see things, I see things. If I hear things, I hear things. But really what it is, you can develop all of those intuitive pathways. You just may be prone to one or the other. So, so anyway, I hope that this helps, and have fun with it, and then let me know how that goes. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great evening. Bye.